So a number of you have been asking me in terms of the best approach to do well on this case studies. Um, the best place to begin is the sample case study that I gave to you, and it's listed under each of the activities. You don't need to write a case summary because I know the cases. The only reason it's listed here, you don't know this case, so I gave you a brief one. Many of you know, and most of you have done, you state a conclusion, you're following this. And then in terms of why you came to that conclusion, you're looking at facts from the case, and many of you will point out facts, and that's fine, and whichever facts are evident. Then values and worldview. Some of you will use the language, but often it's a little bit different from what this means, okay? So, for example, here you see human beings are worthy of respect and dignity. That's a part of the worldview that she has. And even though one wasn't showing respect doesn't mean the other one. So there's certain principles there. Treating treating the man like a person is an important thing as well. And you can see how it talks about that, draws in the violence one, and some of you did that for your own as well when we looked at violence, particularly the Terri Schiavo piece, and that's fine. And her kind of framework and what she did in terms of how she understood what respect meant. And what respect meant was that you listened to that and you didn't harm someone. This one, raises the question some others we'll look at. But then the key is look at this from a situational contextual ethics perspective. What would Joseph Fletcher say? And if you notice here, I am not just saying situation ethics as fundamental principle is love. Sure, that's fine. But what does he mean by that? Go into more definition and discussion of that. Here you see a particular quote, or not quote, paraphrase for what he means. This idea of personalism that's caught up there. My point here is that it goes into that particular framework a little bit more than many of you have done. You've just said, here it is, and you can see I just have developed that. And then the Catholic natural law perspective, the same thing here. I bring out of that reading a key aspect or dimension of that, and then talk about how that's relevant here, and then a kind of final summary. So really this is meant as a kind of case example, which if you follow this kind of model would give you an A. But the key is you have to do more on those two Christian social ethics traditions. And of course the five are situation ethics, natural law, conservative evangelical ethics, progressive evangelical ethics, and feminist ethics. So when you draw from that and you lay out key components of that, then you're well on your way to where you would go. And it doesn't have to agree with your perspective, and many times it may not, and that's okay too. You just need to point out why that's the case. So I hope this is a little bit helpful in terms of that, and we'll see you on the final case study. Thanks.